Tyler Mitchell pulled into the gravel driveway of the farmhouse at sunset, $30,000 in credit card debt weighing heavier than the boxes in his back seat. The house looked smaller than memory suggested, white paint peeling from the siding, wraparound porch sagging on one side, windows dark and waiting. This was it, his inheritance, his last option, his grandmother's house in Willow Creek, Iowa, where cornfields stretched endlessly and everyone knew everyone's business. He killed the engine and sat listening to the metal tick as it cooled. 6 hours from Columbus, 6 hours from the construction job where his supervisor had made his life hell after learning Tyler was gay. 6 hours from the apartment he couldn't afford and the life that had collapsed around him like a house of cards. The sound of a screen door creaking made him look up. A man stepped onto the porch next door, coffee mug in hand, and Tyler's breath caught. Daniel Hayes. Taller now, broader through the shoulders, but unmistakably the foster kid who had lived with Tyler's grandparents from 13 to 18. The boy who had taught Tyler to fish in Willow Creek. The same Daniel who used to help with homework at the kitchen table while Grandma made fresh bread. Daniel walked to the fence line, studying Tyler with quiet recognition. Neither spoke for a long moment. Then Daniel's mouth curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "You grew up," Daniel said, voice carrying the same gentle warmth Tyler remembered. Tyler climbed out of his car, legs stiff from the drive. "So did you." He gestured toward the house. "Heard you're the town vet now." "Only vet within 30 miles, Daniel confirmed. "Got a practice downtown. Daughter who keeps me busy." His wedding ring was gone. Tyler noticed. Things change. They stood there in the cooling evening air, the weight of 14 years between them. Then Daniel tilted his head slightly, something playful flickering in his eyes. "You remember what you promised me when you were 10? Tyler frowned, searching his memory. Nothing came. "You found a plastic ring in a cereal box, got down on one knee right here in my yard, and told me you were going to marry me when you grew up." Heat climbed Tyler's neck. He let out a nervous laugh. "I don't remember that part." Daniel's expression softened. "That's okay. I do." The silence stretched between them, filled with cicadas and the distant rumble of a tractor. Tyler waited for Daniel to laugh it off, to wave and head inside like neighbors do. Instead, Daniel just stood there, holding his coffee, looking at Tyler like he was seeing two versions of him at once. The 10-year-old boy with gap-toothed determination and the 24-year-old man standing before him now, sunburned and a little lost. "Welcome home, Tyler." The words settled over him like a blanket. For the first time in months, Tyler felt like he could breathe. But as he watched Daniel disappear inside, he couldn't shake the feeling that coming home might be more complicated than he'd planned. In small towns, everyone remembers everything, and some promises, even the ones made with plastic rings and childhood innocence, have a way of echoing across the years. The rejection came on his third day back. Tyler sat in the parking lot of Henderson Construction, still wearing his interview clothes, staring at the text message that had just arrived on his phone. "Position filled. Thanks for your interest." He'd watched through the office window as his interviewer, Bill Henderson, had taken a phone call mid-conversation. Someone had mentioned Tyler's name. Someone had mentioned other things. In a town of 3,000 people, word traveled faster than prairie wind. Tyler drove home past familiar landmarks. The grain elevator that had stood since his childhood. The Methodist church where his grandmother had played piano every Sunday. The Casey's General Store where teenagers still gathered after school. Nothing had changed except everything had shifted slightly out of focus, like looking at the world through the wrong prescription glasses. Daniel's veterinary clinic sat on Main Street, a converted house with a hand-painted sign and a parking lot full of farm trucks. Tyler slowed as he passed, catching a glimpse of Daniel in scrubs through the front window, examining what looked like a border collie, professional, competent, exactly where he belonged. That evening, Daniel appeared at Tyler's back porch carrying 2 mason jars of iced tea and a plate covered with foil. The air between them felt different than it had on that first night, less weighted with surprise, more charged with possibility. Peach cobbler, Daniel explained. Setting the plate on the porch railing, Emma helped. She's 8, big on extra cinnamon. Tyler accepted the tea, condensation cold against his palm. How's business? Daniel's expression tightened almost imperceptibly. Good days and challenging days. Some folks around here are set in their ways. Tyler took a long drink, tasting sweetness and understanding the subtext. Someone had already been talking. Someone had already made calls. He thought about his grandmother's advice, spoken often during his childhood visits. In small towns, reputation is everything. Guard it carefully. I heard Henderson Construction was hiring. Tyler said carefully. Daniel nodded, not quite meeting his eyes. Heard that too. Also heard they filled the position pretty quick. The conversation moved to safer ground. Emma's soccer season, the drought affecting corn yields, the new family that had bought the old Prescott farm, normal topics between neighbors who were still learning how to be around each other again. But underneath, current flowed. When Daniel laughed at something Tyler said, it was the same laugh that had carried across his grandmother's kitchen all those years ago, when their hands brushed reaching for the cobbler plate. Neither pulled away immediately. As darkness fell, Daniel gathered the empty jars. I should get back. Emma's got homework. Tyler walked him to the fence line. Thanks for the tea. And the cobbler? Daniel paused at his gate. Tyler, if you need work, I've got some odd jobs around the clinic. Nothing fancy, but it pays fair. The offer hung between them, generous and loaded with implication. Tyler knew what it meant. Alliance, partnership, the beginning of something that could complicate both their lives in a town where complications spread like wildfire. He also knew he needed the money. I'll think about it. Daniel smiled, and for a moment, Tyler saw the 18-year-old who used to steal cookies from Grandma's kitchen. Don't think too long. Grass doesn't cut itself. After Daniel disappeared inside his house, Tyler sat on his porch steps listening to the sounds of rural Iowa settling into night. Somewhere in the darkness, a barn owl called. The air smelled like cut hay and possibility. In the distance, a dog barked once and fell silent. He thought about the text message in his phone, about Daniel's careful offer, about the way people looked at him in town. Recognition mixed with speculation. Coming home meant facing the past, but it also meant building something new. The question was whether Willow Creek was ready for what that might look like. The storm hit on a Tuesday evening, hard and fast the way Iowa storms do in late summer. Tyler was replacing rotted porch boards when the first drops fell, fat and warm against his forearms. Within minutes, the sky opened and rain came down like judgment. He'd been working odd jobs for Daniel for 2 weeks now. Mowing the clinic's lawn, fixing broken fencing, painting the storage shed behind the building. Honest work that paid enough to keep the lights on and buy groceries. But more than that, it gave him reasons to be around Daniel, to watch him work with the animals, to see the gentle way he handled a nervous horse or calmed a frightened dog. The financial pressure was mounting. Tax notices had arrived for the property. $15,000 due in 30 days, or the county would begin seizure proceedings. Tyler stared at the papers spread across his grandmother's kitchen table, doing math that never came out right. Even with Daniel's work, he was drowning. The knock on the door surprised him. Daniel stood on the porch, rain dripping from his hair, collar of his flannel shirt dark with moisture. Power's out at my place, Daniel said. Emma's at her mom's for the week. Wondered if you wanted company while this passes. Tyler stepped aside, and Daniel entered, bringing the smell of rain and something else. Nervousness, maybe. They settled in the living room, Tyler building a fire in the old stone fireplace while Daniel dried his hair with a kitchen towel. The flames caught and settled into a steady burn. Outside, thunder rolled across the fields like distant artillery. They sat on opposite ends of the couch, not quite facing each other, the weight of unspoken things filling the space between them. I need to tell you something, Daniel said finally, about why Sarah and I divorced. Tyler waited, watching firelight flicker across Daniel's face. We lost a baby 3 years ago, born too early, didn't make it through the night. Daniel's voice stayed steady. but his hands trembled slightly. Sarah wanted to keep trying. I couldn't. Every month felt like opening the same wound. We fought about it for a year before she moved out. I'm sorry, Tyler said quietly. Daniel nodded, accepting the condolence. After she left, I spent a lot of time thinking about choices, about the life I'd built, and whether it was the life I actually wanted. The fire crackled. Rain hammered against the windows. I've been alone since high school, Tyler said. Really alone. In Columbus. I had friends, co-workers, but nobody who knew who I actually was. Being gay in construction isn't exactly welcomed with open arms. Daniel looked at him directly for the first time that evening. What happened there? Tyler took a breath. Tasting smoke and honesty. Got promoted to project manager. Some of the crew didn't like taking orders from someone they saw as different. It started with jokes, moved to sabotage, tools going missing, work getting undone overnight. When I reported it to HR, they said I needed to fit in better. 2 weeks later, I was fired for attitude problems. The truth hung between them, raw and immediate. Tyler had never spoken those words aloud before, never admitted how completely his career had collapsed, how thoroughly he'd been defeated by men who couldn't see past their own prejudice. Daniel shifted closer on the couch, not touching, but present. That's not right, Tyler laughed, but it came out hollow. Right doesn't seem to matter much in a lot of places. It matters here, Daniel said firmly. It matters to me. Something in his tone made Tyler look up. Daniel was watching him with an expression Tyler couldn't quite name. Not pity, not sympathy, something deeper and more dangerous. I've been thinking too, Daniel continued, about that promise you made when you were 10, about the ring from the cereal box. Tyler felt his pulse quicken. Daniel, I was a kid. I didn't know what I was saying. Maybe not, but maybe you knew something I was too scared to figure out. The confession settled between them like an ember, small but glowing with potential. Tyler realized they had moved closer without his noticing. Close enough to see the gold flecks in Daniel's eyes, close enough to smell the rain in his hair. Outside, the storm raged on. Inside, something shifted permanently. Two men who had found each other again across 14 years of separation, finally acknowledging what had been building since that first evening at the fence line. The past was behind them, the future spread ahead. Uncertain but no longer impossible. Sometimes the most important promises are kept by accident, long after the people who made them have forgotten they ever spoke the words aloud. The custody papers arrived on a Friday morning, delivered by a sheriff's deputy who avoided eye contact and muttered apologies. Tyler read over Daniel's shoulder as the legal language spelled out Sarah's allegations. Unstable home environment, inappropriate male influence, moral corruption of a minor child. Daniel's face went pale. She can't do this. Emma's happy here. She's doing well in school, has friends. Tyler studied the paperwork, noting the lawyer's letterhead. Denver firm, expensive, serious. This wasn't a desperate move by a grieving mother. This was calculated warfare. The phone call came that afternoon. Sarah's voice through the speaker was crisp, professional, terrifying in its calm certainty. I know about your new living arrangement. Daniel, I know what people are saying in town. Emma deserves better than this confusion. Daniel gripped the phone so tightly his knuckles went white. She's not confused. Sarah, she's 8 years old and she loves Tyler like family. That's exactly the problem. Sarah replied, I won't have my daughter exposed to this lifestyle. I'll see you in court. The line went dead. Word spread through Willow Creek faster than Tyler had imagined possible. By Monday, he noticed the changes. Conversations stopped when he entered the grocery store. Parents pulled their children closer at the playground. Henderson construction workers smirked from their trucks when he walked past. Mayor Patricia Whitman organized the town hall meeting for Thursday evening. Tyler arrived early, taking a seat in the back row of the Methodist Church Fellowship Hall. Daniel sat several rows ahead with Emma, who kept turning to wave at Tyler until her father gently redirected her attention. The meeting started with routine business: budget updates, road maintenance, library hours. Then Mayor Whitman cleared her throat and addressed what everyone had really come to hear. It's come to my attention that certain individuals in our community are promoting lifestyles that don't align with our traditional family values. As mayor, I believe we have a responsibility to protect our children from harmful influences. Tyler felt the eyes on him, the weight of judgment from people who had known his grandparents, who had watched him grow up during summer visits. Mrs. Henderson from the grocery store, Pastor Williams from the Lutheran church, farmers whose families had lived in Willow Creek for generations. One by one, they stood to speak about morality, about children, about the importance of maintaining community standards. Their words were careful, coded, but the message was clear. People like Tyler weren't welcome here. Then Emma did something that changed everything. She stood up in her chair, small voice carrying across the silent room. Tyler helps me with my math homework. He makes really good pancakes. Why are you all being mean to him? Daniel tried to quiet her, but Emma continued, her child's logic cutting through the adult rhetoric like a blade. Mom left us. Tyler didn't. He stays and helps Dad take care of me. That's what families do. The room fell silent. Mayor Whitman fumbled for words. Several people looked uncomfortable, perhaps seeing their arguments through a child's eyes for the first time. After the meeting, Tyler walked to his truck alone. 3 men followed him out, their intentions unclear but their posture aggressive. Before anything could happen, Daniel appeared at Tyler's side, car keys in one hand, protective arm around Emma with the other. We're all going home now, Daniel said firmly, voice carrying the authority of someone who delivered calves in the middle of the night and put down suffering animals with compassion. There's nothing more to discuss tonight. The confrontation dispersed without violence. But Tyler understood the message. The battle lines were drawn. Sarah's custody challenge had given the community permission to act on prejudices they'd kept hidden. What came next would determine not just Emma's future, but whether Tyler could build any kind of life in the place he'd once called home. As they drove separate cars back to their houses, Tyler caught Daniel's eyes in his rearview mirror. Neither of them waved. Both understood they were past the point of pretending this was simple. Emma's voice echoed in his memory. That's what families do. The question was whether Willow Creek would let them be one. The courtroom in Cedar Rapids was smaller than Tyler had imagined. Wood paneling and fluorescent lights, the kind of institutional space where lives get decided by strangers in black robes. Emma sat between the court-appointed child advocate and a social worker, her small hands folded in her lap, looking impossibly young against the formal backdrop. Sarah's lawyer presented his case with clinical precision: financial instability, community opposition, the moral influence of an unmarried male living in proximity to an impressionable child. The words felt rehearsed, designed to reduce Tyler to a caricature rather than acknowledge him as a human being. Daniel's attorney, provided by the Iowa LGBTQ+ Legal Foundation, methodically dismantled each argument. Emma's grades had improved since Tyler's arrival. Her teacher reported better emotional regulation, increased confidence. The financial concerns were temporary, linked to property tax issues that were being resolved through community support. Then came the surprise testimony. Mrs. Patterson, Emma's second-grade teacher, had driven an hour from Willow Creek to speak on Daniel's behalf. She described a father deeply involved in his daughter's education, a child who talked enthusiastically about the man who helped her build a birdhouse for their science project. Pastor Williams from the Lutheran church followed, his collar stark white against his dark suit. He spoke quietly about the difference between doctrine and compassion, about Jesus eating with tax collectors and sinners, about love being patient and kind regardless of the forms it takes. The judge, a woman in her 50s with graying hair and tired eyes, listened without expression. When both sides had finished, she requested a private interview with Emma. 20 minutes later, they returned. Emma Hayes will remain in the primary custody of her father. The judge announced visitation with her mother will continue as previously established. This court sees no evidence that the child's welfare is compromised by the current living arrangement. Sarah's face crumpled. Her lawyer whispered something urgent in her ear, but she shook her head, gathering her things with the defeated movements of someone who had gambled everything and lost. Outside the courthouse, Emma ran to Tyler before her father could stop her, wrapping her arms around his waist with the fierce intensity only children possess. Tyler knelt to her eye level, throat tight with relief and responsibility. "Are we going home now?" she asked. "Yeah, sweetheart, we're going home." The drive back to Willow Creek took them through afternoon cornfields, golden with approaching harvest. Daniel followed Tyler's truck, Emma visible in the passenger seat, animated conversation flowing between father and daughter. In his rearview mirror, Tyler watched their easy interaction and felt something settle in his chest that had been restless for years. The community that greeted them wasn't the same one they'd left that morning. News of the custody decision had preceded them, and with it came an unexpected shift. Not universal acceptance, but a grudging acknowledgement that they weren't going anywhere. Mrs. Henderson nodded to Tyler at the grocery store. The bank president approved the loan modification that saved the farmhouse. Henderson Construction called with an offer of part-time work. Change came slowly, person by person, conversation by careful conversation. Tyler started a handyman business with Daniel as his first client and biggest supporter. They hosted neighborhood barbecues where Emma played soccer with other kids while their parents watched and learned that normal families come in many shapes. On Christmas morning, Emma presented Tyler with a drawing of 3 stick figures standing in front of a house. Dad, me, and Tyler. She'd written in careful second-grade letters. Family. Later, as Emma played with new toys and Daniel dozed in the armchair by the fireplace, Tyler stood at the kitchen window watching snow fall across the Iowa fields. The plastic ring from the cereal box was long gone, but the promise remained, transformed by time and trial into something deeper than childhood innocence could have imagined. Sometimes the best families aren't born, they're built. One day of choosing each other at a time. Have you ever had to fight for the right to love who you love? Tyler and Daniel's story reminds us that home isn't just a place, it's the people who choose to stay when staying gets difficult. Share your story as a comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to Heart Stories for more tales of love, courage, and the families we create when the world tells us we don't belong.